standing separate leg head to knee, side forward bend, another hot yoga tutorial, and we're in Costa Rica. Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy Barkan. I've been teaching hot yoga for 40 years. Been in Costa Rica for 21 years doing teacher training programs and retreats. In fact, in the description you can see a couple links to it. Standing separate leg head to knee is a unique posture from our lineage in Calcutta. It's unique in that we round the spine. It's that rabbit spine alignment concept in the world of yoga. So when we do standing head to knee, when we do rabbit pose, when we do head to knee on the floor, and in this one, standing separate leg head to knee, it's the rounding of the spine. But I also wanted to bring in side forward bend, which is a similar pose, similar in our position of our feet, similar position of our legs, but it's a straight back, not a rounded back, so you can see the difference. So we're gonna go into the studio here in Calcutta. So we're gonna go into the studio here in Costa Rica and dive right in. Standing separate leg head to knee. We're gonna do this posture first. Remember I told you this is a unique pose in our lineage because of the rabbit rounding spine. So with the help of Janice, Barkan teacher Janice, she's going to start with the feet together, arms overhead. Now you can keep the hands flat, or you can interlace the fingers, index finger release. That's the common grip. Remember in this video, we did half moon pose, and I showed you this was the original grip. But I'm going to have Janice keep her fingers interlaced, index finger released, because that's the most common grip. So now I'm going to have Janice step out about 3.5 feet, turn toward the right. We want to be heel to heel. That's the position of our feet. If your hips are tight, it's hard for you to square your hips to the front, you can take the back foot out to the left a little bit as a modification. But for now, I'm going to have Janice go back to heel to heel. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold the Mula Uddiyana bandhas. Those are the lower locks. Perineum is the Mula bandha. The pit of the belly is the Uddiyana bandha. And now we add the Jalandhara bandha, the chin lock, chin to the chest. So Mula Uddiyana, chin to the chest, Jalandhara, curls down, touches her head to the knee. Janusirisasana. Let's talk about the weight. The weight's in the big toe mound of your right foot. And the outside knife edge, right here at the left foot. So if I were to come along and stand on the outside of her foot, that will stabilize her position, and that's what you want to do in class. You want to push the outside of that foot into the ground. The inner thighs are going to rotate in. That's what they call the inner spiral. And you keep curling the spine. Now I'm going to have Janice come back up for a second. A lot of you aren't going to be able to get down to that full advanced position that Janice just so beautifully did. So to modify, you're going to slow the same thing. You're going to start the same way. Abdominals, chin lock, curl down. And this time you're going to bend the right knee, separate your hands on the floor, but you got to make contact with the forehead to the knee. That's the priority. And now with her hands on the floor out in front of her foot, she's just going to push against the floor till eventually that leg will straighten. Now, a lot of times your hips, a lot of people's hips get really tight. If I say to somebody in class, let's say Janice, for example, move your left hip forward, they get really stuck because they hold on tight. So what you got to do is relax your hips. So I would say relax your hips, pull your right hip back and your left hip forward. You see how that works? Right hip back, left hip forward. So we get a nice square position of the hips, which creates a better rounding of the spine. Now eventually, I'm going to have Janice bend her knee a lot this time. You're going to push against the floor to eventually straighten that right leg. And when you can finally get the leg straight, now you're going to bring your palms together, but you're still going to push against the little fingers of the blade of your hand. Now what happens is a lot of times people have their hands too far out in front that way. See how she's no longer rounding as much. But if you bring your hands, this is the trick, really close to the feet, now straighten your arms and look at the difference of her spine. Now she's in that rounded position, hips are square, body's curled, arms are straight, abdominals in. Now she's going to come up the same way she went down in a rounded spine position. And that is standing separate leg, head to knee. Now we're going to look at what I call the sister pose. Very similar, but also different. Side forward bend, or Parsvottanasana. Let's look at the grip first. I'm going to have Janice turn around, you can see. The ideal grip is hands behind your back in reverse namaskar. Very similar to what we did in this video with Lana when we did standing separate leg stretching. Eventually your hands can come even closer towards your neck. Now a lot of you can't do that grip because you're too tight in your shoulders, too tight in your arms. So instead you can grab your wrists as a modification, or you can grab your elbows as a modification. Now in the Barkan yoga class, in the Barkan vinyasa class, we come right out of standing separate leg, head to knee, into side forward bend or Parsvottanasana. So from here, you'd set your hands behind your back. And notice this, your legs and your feet are in the exact same position as the last pose, so you don't move those at all. And once again, to this pose, just like the last one, you can modify by taking the right foot out just a little bit to the right to square the hips, but I'll have Janice move you back over to the right position, or the more advanced position. So now the first thing she's gonna do is lift the chest. Second thing she's gonna do is scoop the tailbone. And now take a deep breath in, and on the inhalation, she's gonna slowly lower down. I'm gonna have her stop here right now for a second. And I want you to bring the weight onto the outside edge of your right foot. You're gonna push into that right foot as a brace. And slowly she works her way down. And the key is that the back and the neck vertebra are in line. I'm gonna have her stop here right now for a second, because here's one of the big mistakes. People think it's how far down you can go. So they round their spine to go lower, but as soon as you round your spine to go lower, you're out of the position. So I'll have Janice come back up again. We want the back and the neck vertebra in line the whole time. So I'd rather you be even a little higher as long as your back and neck are in line. But eventually you can slowly work your way down. If you have the hamstring stretch flexibility forward and the hip flexor flexibility, you're going to lower all the way down with the back and neck vertebra in line. And eventually your chin comes real close to the shin. You can see Janice does this pose really well. Hips are square, just like the last pose. But this is a straight back up. You're going to feel the difference in your hamstring in this pose, more so than when we did standing separate leg, head to knee. Then you're going to come up the same way you went down. Take a deep breath in, push off your back foot, hold the core, the Mula Uddiyana Bandhas, and up you come. And that is side forward bend. So that is standing separate leg, head to knee, and side forward bend. And as you can see, we're no longer in Costa Rica. That ends our 3-part series. If you're interested in joining us next year, there's links in the description below. We'd love to have you join us. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell, hit the like button. Any struggles with those 2 poses, put them in the comments below. I get to all of them. Now in Costa Rica, they don't say adios. They say pura vida, which means pure life. So pura vida, everybody. I'll see you at the next video.